Welcome to the studio. Today we're taking some old gold and we're going to melt it down and make a men's wedding band. We need a size 8 1/4 and 6 millimeters wide and approximately 2.5 millimeters thick. So I put some flux in this crucible and I am melting the gold with my torch. It takes a little while to get it heated up and to start melting, but once we do, we have to get it even hotter. We want it to be almost like liquid, and actually a lot like liquid. Like you can almost drink it, that kind of liquidy. So when you pour it, it creates a good pour that it gets to the bottom of the mold without solidifying first. So here I spray a little bit of WD-40 in the mold, and I'm heating it up with my torch because you do want a warm mold. You don't want it to be ice cold. The little bit of extra warmth allows the metal to solidify just slightly less quickly, and therefore giving you a better, just a better ingot when you do pour the mold. So I have it molten here, or close to it, and there we go. I poured it in there, and we're going to open up our mold and look and see what our little ingot looks like. Now this one, I used my largest round opening, and there's my piece of gold, and we will be using that and rolling it out to create our stock for this wedding band. Now, this is my rolling mill. This is not the most expensive one on the market. It's actually quite an inexpensive one, but it does the job, and I actually really enjoy using it. It does a really good job for what I need it to do. So, and guys, I'm rolling this out, and honestly, I could have just went to one of my suppliers and bought a ring and then sold it to my customer. But I like the fabrication process. Also, it allows me to create this content so you can see how rings are made. You can see how, the process goes and have more appreciation for how things are made. Because, these gold rings and silver rings and different things like that, they are not something that's super easy to make. You have to have experience. It takes skill. There's little nuances with the rolling mill that you need to know. You have to know when to anneal and when to and not anneal and work hard and all those things. So there's a lot to it. Now there is some fire scale on this ring, so I was taking Scotch-Brite and cleaning it off, and then I go and file it. Now this ring was a little too wide. I made it wide on purpose, just so I had excess that I could file off and then sand to the desired thickness. There's nothing worse than coming up short. If you come up short, you have to melt the whole thing down and start over again. But if you're a little large, you can always file and sand it down to your desired thickness and width. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm flat lapping on the sandpaper, and I keep turning it. You'll notice I stop and turn, because if you sand just in one direction without turning the ring, you have a tendency to make it uneven. So you'll start to taper it without even noticing it. So I constantly am turning the ring while I am sanding it. And I got it to a 6. And then this ring on the inside, I needed to smooth it out. So I used the cylinder burr. And I'm going and I am just taking off any irregularities, the solder joint, just the bumps and stuff like that. I'm taking those out with this cylinder burr. Now this takes a lot of material quickly, so you have to be careful. And then after this, I'll use it to create a comfort fit after I scribe a line, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm marking this with just a black Sharpie, and then I'll use my divider and mark a line about half the thickness of the material, and we'll grind that out at a 45-degree angle to create a comfort fit on the inside. Now, a comfort fit is a rounded off portion of the ring on the interior. This creates a really, just like the name says, a comfort fit. So you don't have like a square edge on the inside that's going to dig into your finger. This little bit of rounding on the inside just allows the ring to be worn more comfortably. And specifically, if you're not used to wearing a ring, that comfort fit can make all the difference between having an uncomfortable ring to wear and one that you enjoy wearing. So I carefully grind it down to my line, and then this process takes a while. It does remove a fair amount of material, so all those little filings are falling into my bench drop, they call it. And then I collect those and send them to a refiner down the road sometime. But the process just takes a while, and that's one thing about jewelry making. It is, I guess, a career that creates patience in you because even sometimes you can get almost done with a piece and something might go wrong. You know, a prong is too thin, or you notice the ring isn't the right thickness, or what have you. And that's why you keep checking as you go. So it's always grind a little, look a lot. So you want to just grind a little bit and measure, grind, measure, look through your microscope, look at it again, you know. And now this customer wanted a domed ring on top. So it's a half round or kind of domed ring on the top, which is what I'm doing here. I'm just taking my barrette file and smoothing this ring out. I had to fuse a few pieces of gold on here because the ring wasn't quite how I wanted it. So I added some material, and then I, you know, am able to file it off. Like I said, it's better to have too much than too little. And now I'm just going through the process like I always do, where you take your next grit of sandpaper and you're grinding out all the irregularities, all the previous tool marks, and making that finish to a mirror finish. You just step up in grits. So I think I start with I don't even know, 100 grit, and then I go to 320 and 600 and 1500 is what I end up with. And 1500 is, you know, almost a polish, but it's not quite. So then I still go to the polishing wheel after I do the 1500 grit. And then you get your mirror finish. You know, something that's kind of funny is I currently don't even wear my wedding ring. I wish I could, but it makes my finger break out. And I have like one necklace I wear once in a while, and actually like a leather bracelet. So I'm not a huge jewelry wearer, but I love the process. I love metalsmithing in general. I used to work for a metal sculpturist, and so I went to school to be a machinist as well. So anything having to do with metal and metallurgy and working the metal, I don't know. I just get joy out of it. It's something the Lord has blessed me with. And it's kind of cool. In Scripture, there's a few mentions of goldsmiths, and they're regarded as talented and gifted in those areas. So I guess I see myself as one of those guys, just doing my work and doing it to the best of my ability. Here on the inside, I am polishing the inside of the ring, the outside of the ring. You guys have saw this on my short videos plenty of times. And then it goes into the cleaner and comes out, and here it is, the finished ring, a plain band for my customer.